Yo, what is going on, guys? This is your boy, Trev CL here, and we are back. It's week 5 of NPL Season 6 up against Razor Wolf. Razor, for those of you who know him, very, very offensive team this dude is packing for sure. Yeah, he's got a lot of threats on deck. He's got stuff like Gyarados, Mega Gyarados on his team. Threats like Garchomp, as you guys can see. Tapu Koko is a big threat, no doubt, bringing the electric terrain out. He's got Scizor to check guard and Laddie, depending on the set, quite nicely. And not to mention fat shit like Cresselia, Fat Crobat is annoying. He's got threats like Alakazam, which actually outspeeds my, it speed types with Dougie, but apart from that, it outspeeds my entire team. Piloswine is a big fat annoyance. It's a really good one in the format. I've used it in multiple leagues. It's just a really solid, underrated pick. And yeah, he has Delmise, as you guys can see there, to act as a pretty nice spinner. Versus my team, they don't have any ghost types, so if I allow him, he can pretty much get a free spin-off. And that's obviously a pain. As well as Mineshower, he's brought that to the game today, and Heliolisk to complement the electric spam with Tapu Koko. So yeah, definitely an offensive team. One of the more aggressive offensive teams that we've faced so far. Really lacks a defensive backbone outside of AV Delmise, Piloswine, and Cresselia. And I suppose you could throw defensive Crobat in there as well. But predominantly it's a very offensive team. And as a result, we fight fire with fire out here. So yeah, we're packing a pretty actually it's more of a balanced team, if I'm honest, but it does have some nice offense revenges, I guess you could say. Yeah, I'm not really going to go too in depth into the sets, but basically we have a pretty nice Will-O-Wisp Taunt Ape, just to stop Cress from being fat and lame, just start irritating. Fire Punch for the Scizor. I got lefties for recovery. This is my Scizor check essentially, so I can tank, U-turns of these, tank Bullet Punches, spread Willows. He doesn't actually have a fire type on his team, so he's very vulnerable to Will-O-Wisp spam, which is something, one of the things I kind of did plan on capitalizing on. We'll see how that goes. But next up we have Scarfed Heracross, which gives this man the work once stuff like Delmise have taken some chip. If Tapu Koko is fairly weakened, then it gets revenged by close combat and Mega Horn, particularly if I've got the Moxie boost, so that's pretty nice. Obviously this is pretty nice, something like Cresselia if he did bring it, forcing that out as key, preventing something like Screens or Trick Room or even Luna Dance going up, which would be really annoying. Also just a pretty solid revenger for most of his team. Like I said, I do expect him to be a pretty offensive team. Even something like a Dragon Dance Mega Gyarados could have been, a bit of an annoyance. So Scarfed Heracross actually outspeeds that at +1, which is pretty clean. So next up we've got just a nice guard spread, standard Gypsy guard spread. I'm not going to go into detail, but you guys get the message. It's not going to die, and it's going to fire off strong Hyper Voices. So also packing Will-O-Wisp, which is pretty nice, as I said earlier, for just the Will-O-Wisp spam versus team. Then we have a somewhat mixed defensive Shaman, mainly here as a check to Tapu Koko. I do think a physical variant of Tapu Koko is quite likely, just because I don't have the best answers to that set, whereas a especially offensive Tapu Koko, I have Shaman, I have Uxie, I have Latios. Obviously Dazzling Gleam, does a little bit, but Tapu Koko is actually weak as piss, especially offensively wise. Its Thunderbolt's are strong because of its ability. That's basically it. It's a very underwhelming special attack, so a physical set makes a lot of sense. Maybe something like Z-Brave Bird, or some sort of Life Orb set would make a lot of sense with U-turn for momentum, capitalizing on how weak my team is to Tapu Koko. Packing U-turn would make a lot of sense. So yeah, physical Tapu Koko was definitely expected. Seeing it here with Heliolisk next to it, I do think one of them, or maybe even both of them, maybe Shed Shell, in preparation for the Dugtrio on my team, which would make a lot of sense. Alternatively, he could be like a Scarfed Heliolisk, but we'll have to get into that one once the match commences. And lastly, I see a Mineshower. Now, Mineshower could be a number of things. I know Razor does tend to run Scarf Garchomp a lot. Scarf Garchomp also makes a lot of sense versus my team being able to outspeed. +1 Dragonite, being able to outspeed naturally Gardevoir, outspeeds non-Scarf Infernape with the Scarf, outspeeds Dougie, outspeeds a non-Scarf Latios. So that makes a lot of sense. And then, yeah, my own Latios is actually a Scarf set this week again. Just a really solid revenge killer. Nothing too crazy about this set. It's kind of standard, like it's fairly standard. HP 5, this is if I need it. Psychic does more, basically more to Delmars. Anyway, so that's fine. Draco's is pretty free to drop once Tapu Koko has been taken care of. So a very nice late game win con, no doubt. Especially as I don't see a Scizor or a Cresselia. So even if he is like a Scarf Mineshaw, I do have Scarf Lady in the back to comfortably revenge. Then we have Uxie, which is my rock setter this week. Pretty solid one with U-turn. I got Toxic in case he did decide to bring Cress. You know, being able to Toxic other stuff on his team is pretty nice, although Willow spam is generally, you know, more appreciated as his team does mainly consist of physical attackers. So, you know, if I can spread some Willows, then the damage my team is going to be taking will be severely reduced. So, yeah, I've got U-turn for momentum, as I said. Psyche for stab, just being able to hit Mineshaw for a decent amount. Being able to hit, you know, chip down Tapu Koko, Heliolisk, Garchomp, and the like. So, all putting them in range of my Scarfers essentially. So, we're going to jump into the match. Razor actually hit me up before the match started, and he's like, dude, are you easily offended? And I was like, what? And he's like, because I got some funny nicknames. So, yeah, we'll jump into that. You know, but I'm packing some nicknames of my own. So, shout out to my boy Ricardo. So, he leads off with Dingo Fucker in an attempt to trigger me, I suppose. Pretty funny name. And the U-turn here is pretty free on his part. I'm just going to take this opportunity to set up my rocks. If he goes into Pillar Swine, I can, you know, play accordingly. I can Toxic it or, you know, pivot out to something like my Inferno or Shaman. But he does go for the U-turn here. Dealing 38%, revealing that he is more than likely choice banded. A pretty strong U-turn for sure coming off that set. It could be like a Jolly Band set, which would make sense. Razor tends to run like max spreads. You know, no shade, that's just what I've noticed from his team builders. So yeah, Jolly, like max. Tapu Koko was sort of on my mind. Now he brings in Heliolisk. Like I said, I don't think this thing is going to be like a Life Orb variant, or it will get trapped by Dougie. It could be a Shed Shell or even a Scarf variant. I'm going to U-turn here. I don't expect him to be a boosting item, and even if he is, I have ways. I don't even die from a boosting item because I am like quite SPDF invested. He's going to go for the Volt Switch this turn as I get the slow U-turn out, you know, capitalizing on what he wants to bring in. He actually opts to go into Delmites here, which does make sense because it can spin comfortably on Uxie. As I do, you know, fear the potential ghost move. So I go into use Maddie, my Infernape, and I'm basically going to fire a Fire Punch here. Razor debated this turn for, I think, like 10 minutes, a very long time. You know, not knowing what my Infernape set was going to be, and fair enough, like Infernape's a very versatile one. I fire a Fire Punch here, I lose nothing by it. If he goes into Garchomp, I chip it down, putting it in range of my Scarfers. And I have responses, especially if he's like a Scarf set. That's no trouble at all. So I do go for the Fire Punches. He does switch in his Garchomp, revealing that he's indeed an offensive, you know, spread, judging by that damage. That reveals to be like no investment. Now here I'm in a situation where he can either be Scarfed, Earthquake here, and kill me. I'm not saying it like it's not worth it at all. But you know, because I have Mach Punch on this thing, it's a nice revenger for Heliolisk. Once Heliolisk takes a round of rocks, it's in range to die to Mark, so that's pretty nice. Fire Punch is just nice versus, you know, his team barring the Garchomp. And if I determine this isn't actually a Scarf variant, I can fire off a Willow, essentially neutering it for the rest of the game, unless he's some, you know, Heat special variant. So I'm going to switch out here, but he's actually going to switch out himself. And, you know, take notes, kids, if you guys didn't know, that's how whoever switches out first is faster. My Nape is obviously creeping his Chomp, so that implies that his Chomp is Scarfed, which is valuable information for sure, meaning my Shaman and, you know, even my Uxie, even though it's kind of low, can wall it because they do have Levitate. Shaman is a very nice check to Scarf Chomp, definitely, and that's very nice for me to see. It's also valuable information for me if I am in a situation where like Scarf Heracross is weakened, but I've got like a Moxie boost or something, and he brings in Chomp. I know that he's gonna outspeed me the following turn and kill me. So, all valuable information, definitely. He brings in his Heliolisk because I double into my Uxie, and this turn I'm gonna switch out to my Shaman. Reason being, I did expect him to fire off a Thunderbolt, knowing that he'd already gone for the Volt turn previously, and it doesn't do enough to kill me. He is in electric terrain, so T-Bolt made sense that play. If for some reason he did Volt Switch there and try and go back out into Delmires to spin, I could have just gone into Uxie on the spin and, you know, adamantly kept my rocks up. But he does go for the T-Bolt as predicted, and now I can just click Protect. What this does for me is, as I said earlier, if he is like a Scarf variant and he switches into Delmires on anything that Shaman has to throw at it, if it's an Assault Vest variant, it really doesn't fear anything that Shaman has to throw at it. Alternatively, if he is like a Shed Shell variant, he's likely to click Volt Switch here. I have shown lefty, so I'm not like a Scarf Shaman set, and even if I was, Scarf Shaman doesn't kill Heliolisk from this range because Heliolisk is very reasonably, especially defensively bulky. So yeah, Protect was my play here, just because it gives me valuable information. Like if he had switched out hard into like his Delmires and I'd gone for a Leaf Storm, then I wouldn't have gained much anyway. Like it'd be in the same situation. I'd be switching to Uxie to keep my rocks up. But we do go for Protect here, as he does go for Volt Switch. This just gives me a little bit of health back on my Shaman. I do want to keep this thing, you know, at a reasonable amount of health because Coco is definitely looking like a threat. I know he's Scarf Chomp, so I do want to have, you know, a reliable check to Chomp in the back if I need to. And I haven't yet determined his Mind Shell set. So if he is like a banned variant, I need to have, you know, something healthy to at least capitalize on, like high jump kick with Protect or you know, U-turns and stuff like that. So this turn I can just I can tank the Volt Switch with these, only doing 12%. So yeah, he's definitely like not a boosting item. He's more than likely Shed Shell, as I'm pretty free to fire for Leaf Storm. Had he gone into Delmires there, he would have taken, you know, around like in between 50 and 20%, and then I would have gone right back into my Uxie on the spin. But he opts to go into his Coco here, which is really nice for me, putting it, letting it take a Leaf Storm, which is huge. And that damage means that this is only going to be able to switch in one more time safely on rocks, unless he's a Wrist variant. But as I said earlier, I do expect it to be a Banded variant, just based on that damage versus my Uxie, who's quite physically defensive. And you know, Tapu Koko isn't the strongest mon in the world. When it's not using its stab, it's actually only like base 115. So it's still like, it's decent, but it's not, you know, it's not a breaker by any means outside of spamming Wild Charge. So this turn, I can switch out, go into my Uxie, just in case he was like a Roost variant. I didn't really lose anything by it because, like, had I stayed in there with Shaman, I would have potentially taken a Brave Bird, which, you know, could have crit me. Brave Bird didn't kill me from that range of health. I did like, I believe I was at, yeah, I was above 79%. 79 is the max roll for Jolly Adamant Brave Bird if he's a banded set. So I didn't risk like dying there to Brave Bird, but I could have got crit. Keeping Shaman around is essential. So we are going to switch out to Uxie here. If he does go for the U-turn and goes into his Delmires, I can just spam rocks. You know, that's the game plan. And he does go out to Delmires, and we're at a range of health where Rapid Spin won't actually take us out. So I get a little bit of Psychic chip on him, putting him in range where now he can't switch into a Scarf Draco from Laddie. He actually dies to one. So even if he is like a max HP Assault Vest, that's pretty nice. I know, judging off that damage, that he's actually Adamant max attack, that Rapid Spin damage reveals. So he's not like, you know, he's not like max special defense with Soul Vest or anything like that. As well as judging by that psychic damage, it also confirms that. So now I can just click rocks once more. As he does opt to switch out this turn, go back into his Heliolisk. And I've got no reason to keep Uxie in here and die when I can go out to my Shaman, who can tank anything really from this Heliolisk and proceed to synthesis up. And you know, repeat the process of going back out into my Uxie. You know, playing smart here. No reason to sack mons off if I don't need to. When Uxie comfortably sets up rocks versus this, you know, letting Uxie die is not a big deal. As you guys can see there, I do let it die there. But now I've ensured that rocks stay up. So at this range of health, if he does switch out this turn, he's in range to die from my guard's Hyper Voice. If he does actually switch out, he'll be in range to die to Laddie's Scarf Psychic, which is he'll be in range to die to everything on my team. Actually, he won't be able to switch into 2 Leaf Storms after taking rocks. So yeah, Delmires is not going to be able to spin versus my team anymore, which is nice because now the rest of his team is just getting whittled by rocks. Putting closer and closer in range of my Scarpers, so guard's just going to do what it does and fire for Hyper Voice. Now looking at his team, you know, he brings in Pillar Swine. Now here I contemplated going for the Will-O-Wisp, but knowing my luck, I'd probably miss, and I figure it's best to get Hyper Voice damage off. I can easily tank anything from this Miltank. This Pillar Swine, as we do fire off the Hyper Voice. He does go for the Avalanche here, and it does a ton because it is boosted by the fact that it went last and I attacked him. But it's not nearly enough to take me out. Ice Shard can't take me out from this range of health, and I do go for the Hyper Voice here. I could have wished up, predicting the Ice Shard or gone for the Wisp there or something like that. It wasn't worth it. I just go for the Hyper Voice because I know the rest of my team can take his on pretty comfortably. I can even live a hit from the Heliolisk outside of electric terrain at this range of health with my guard just due to my investments. That's pretty nice. He goes into his this thing. Type of Coco. I'm going to go into my Laddie here, knowing I can tank any hit he wants to go for. If he U-turns, he dies to rocks. If he Brave Birds, he can't kill Laddie, and he will die to recoil. So in comes Laddie to tank it. Like I said, shout out to my boy Ricardo for the nickname. The nicknames were inspired by him. Go check him out. He just started a channel. And he's a good guy. And a very, very good Smogon player. So in comes Mineshaw. Now if he's fake out Mineshaw, I don't want to risk my Scarf. I want to scout first. If this is a Scarf Mineshaw, then Laddie essentially wins at this point. But it's not worth, it's not worth choking and like risking one of my win cons. I'm going to switch out here and go into my Shaman, just in case he did want to go for the fake out, but he does go for U-turn there, revealing that he's more than likely a Scarfed variant. He brings in his Scarfed Garchomp, so he's packing double Scarf. It's just like us this week. Makes sense. And now I can essentially protect this turn. I'm just scouting what he wants to lock himself into. He locks himself into Poison Jab here, which is fine because as you guys can see, it's doing fuck all to Shaman. As I can leech up, get all the health back. And fire for Leaf Storm this turn. I figured he'd switch, and getting damage off anything is pretty nice. As Shaman is looking to be able to 1v1 the rest of his team, I protect this turn against scouting just in case he wanted to lock himself into high jump kick. He'd die to recoil, and worst case scenario, he goes for U-turn and I get some health back with lefties. So in comes the Heliolisk. As I leech up, Heliolisk can't do too much versus me. It can fire off weak Volt Switches. Like I said, I do expect it to be Shed Shell. He's not a boosting set, so not too worried about that. Heliolisk, I take the opportunity to synthesis up just because Shaman staying healthy is important, because I'm probably going to get crit because my luck with Mons is arse, despite what every single person seems to think. Fags, they calling me lucky, but you'll see. I get crit by Poison Jab. It's whatever. And this turn he's going to go for another Poison Jab, gets another crit. I'm going to synthesis up, getting my Leech recovery back, wearing it down, and he's going to stay in this turn and Poison Jab. I lost nothing by protecting. If you switch into Mind Shower, I just protect it up again. I easily tank a Scuffed high jump kick. He goes for the Poison Jab here, gets the poison. Some more hacks, but it's fine. It's like the poison equivalent of Scald, so it's bound to happen sooner or later. He doesn't choose to keep Chomp around because it would die to rocks, so understandable play by Razor there. And Shem is looking in a pretty fine spot to be able to 1v1 the rest of his team, so he goes into this threat here and just goes for high jump kick as we tank and fire for Leaf Storm. Now I couldn't win. I mean I could have won with Shaman here. I do tank a Hyper Voice from this range of health, but I had to show off the last member of my team being Heracross, and had to get the kill with Heracross, just in honor of the nickname. So hope you guys enjoyed. That was my match versus Razor. Pretty fun match. Like the team worked as designed, as expected, and yeah, it was pretty fun to play. Go check out Razor's channel. I'm sure he'll be uploading this hopefully to his channel. See his perspective. And check out all the other NPL games this week. There have been some fantastic matches, particularly Matty Brolic versus Jolt. My boy Matty's back in the NPL, which is amazing. So happy for that. So definitely go and check out all those matches. Next week we face Rizzy Power, my boy Riz. That's going to be a fun one, facing the Mega Kang Hooper team. So yeah, nice broken team. Yeah, that'll be good fun. So hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're enjoying the season so far. And let me know what you thought of the game and the team in the comments below. And drop a like if you enjoyed. And I'll see you guys next time.